For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record.
Alright everybody, how's it going? Hopefully you're having a good day. So today's video is going to be a little bit longer, so I hope you guys are ready for that. But we're going to start off with the workout from today, and we're going to be doing a pull workout. Now, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, the workout was supposed to be a shoulder-focused push workout yesterday. However, it ended up being a chest-focused because I forgot what day it was and what the emphasis was. So today we're going to throw in a bit of shoulders towards the end, just so we can make sure I keep up the volume on my shoulders as much as possible. But we started off with pull-ups, 4 sets of failure, and we're actually doing weighted today. So I threw on a 25-pound or 20-pound plate, threw on the dip belt, and then just did as many reps as I could. Ended up doing like around 4 sets of 6 to 8. Then we moved into an easy bar underhand cable row. So you can see I've got the bent bar here. I've got about a wide grip just outside of shoulder width. And then as you can see, obviously these are all sped up a little bit because today's video, like I said, is going to be around 35 minutes. But with the close grip row, make sure you're stretching at the bottom. Keep your lower back as straight as possible. We're going to do 4 sets of around 12 to 15 reps there. And then move into an incline neutral grip lat pull down. So this is something that's a little bit different. I've been trying it a few times here and there. Big key to this movement is keeping your elbows in front of your torso, or at the very least in line with your torso, and it's just going to change the angle of how you're hitting the muscle. Something I like to throw in occasionally, and just kind of changes, like I said, how I'm hitting the muscle. Feels pretty good, and it allows me to really squeeze in a different way as opposed to just a standard lat pull down. Now on that one, did 3 sets of around 10 to 14, 10 to 12-ish, and a couple pumped at the end. Then moved into a seated bent over row with dumbbells. So you can see I'm just on the very end of a bench. I've got dumbbells, and same kind of position you would do for like a bent over dumbbell fly. Except we're just going to be rowing. And one thing I like about this is, one, it doesn't put a lot of pressure on your lower back. You're able to basically rest your chest right against your legs. And 2, it allows me to isolate my back. I'm not able to use momentum. I'm not able to swing, rock my shoulders, anything like that. So on that one, I did 3 sets of around, like, again, 10 to 12 reps, keeping the rest period low. Then the next thing we're going to be doing here is actually going to be a tri-set or a triple set. I'm going to start with a cable pullover, again using one of those bent bars or the easy bars as they're called, around 10 to 12 reps. Then I'm going to move into a high cable row, so same bar, same position. I'm just going to start rowing from that same position that we finished off with the pullovers. And then we're going to move over to a cable face pull. Now with the cable face pull, you could use the same easy bar, bent bar that you were using, just change your grip to a wider position and focus more on your rear delts. But I had the luxury of being able to use both sides of the cable and have one set up for each. So I just grabbed a standard cable rope and I threw it on here. We're doing about 10 to 12 reps on each exercise, 3 total sets. And it's a tri-set, so you're going from one exercise into the next without resting at all. On these movements, really focus on controlling the weight. I don't want you guys swinging it around too much. I want the weight to be pretty light so that you can focus on the contraction, focus on the squeeze at the bottom and the stretch as you're going up. You're going to be doing a lot of volume here, so the weight doesn't need to be super heavy. The whole point of this is basically to just start burning out and fatiguing the back, and then start incorporating some of those shoulders and rear delts, because this is going to be, I believe this is going to be our last back movement for this workout. Now, another thing to note, especially with the cable face pulls, is my hand position. And we've gone over this before, but I like to have my hands in a slightly different position. You can see I basically got my knuckles facing each other, and what that allows me to do is it just allows me to feel my rear delts more. It's kind of how I like to do it. You can change your position however you like, and you feel the movement best, but that was what I was doing today. Now, once I finished that, then I moved into some shoulders superset with bicep movements. First is going to be a lateral raise, and we're going pretty heavy, around 25 pounds here. You can see that, so like 10 to 12 reps, maybe a couple forced at the end, and immediately supersetting that with an alternating dumbbell raise for around 8 to 12 reps. On this, I did 4 sets because this is going to be our primary movement for shoulders and for our biceps. So again, trying to keep the weight a little bit heavier and just really focusing on pumping up the muscles. Make sure your shoulders are warmed up a little bit before you start doing these lateral raises. That's kind of one of the reasons we did a cable face pull, like I said earlier, was to start kind of warming up the rear delts, warming up the shoulders, getting everything kind of firing a little bit, because we're not hitting a lot of shoulders during the back portion of this workout. So we want to make sure that they're warmed up, primed, and ready to go for this. Now, a big key to these bicep curls is it's a little hard to see with the sped up version, but as I said, we've gone over this in other videos. So check out any of my other pull workouts, but we want to try and pull from our pinkies. So it's a little hard to see, like I said, but I'm trying to rotate my pinkies up and out, and that's going to give a tighter contraction on that bicep. Now, once I finished that, then I moved into a cable lat, or well, not a cable, but a lat pull down with a rear delt emphasis. So a big key on this is you notice I'm super close to the bar, like right directly up under it, and I'm pulling it almost to like my nose or my forehead. The emphasis there is putting it all onto my rear delts. I'm also trying to keep my elbows flared out as much as possible. I'm not trying to tuck them in, and put the emphasis and the contraction all on my rear delts. After that, then I did some cable kind of high curls. So you saw just a flat bar on a cable machine, and then just trying to curl in. I only did like 2 sets of that. I wasn't really feeling that movement. Some days is better than others, but today I wasn't really feeling it, so it didn't do too much. You don't have to do that if you guys don't want to. Now, after that, I moved into a superset between a hammer curl and an Arnold press, or just a standing military press. So a big key to this one, try not to swing or rock too much, and you're going to be really focusing on, one, keeping your elbows in line with your body as much as possible during the hammer curl. Then you're going to raise them and the dumbbells up, and then you're going to swing them out and drive up. So you're going to basically go from like a hammer curl position, rotate out. That's going to give you that little bit of an Arnold curl style of movement. So you're getting that little bit of rotation, working the rear delts, the lateral head, and then you're driving up. Did 4 sets there of around 10 to 12 reps, and that's a 10 to 12 reps. Each movement from curl to press is 1 rep. Finished the workout off with just some banded lateral raises, just trying to pump some extra blood and burn out those shoulders, because like I said, yesterday was supposed to be shoulders, but ended up doing chest instead. So that's going to be the workout. As I said, this is going to be a long video, so I hope you guys are ready for it. Enjoy!
All right, how's it going, everybody? So hope you enjoyed that quick little back workout there, upper body kind of pull day. Now, my bad, I did forget that yesterday was actually supposed to be a shoulder-focused push workout. I ended up doing a chest-focused push workout, so I didn't hit shoulders very much, if at all, yesterday, apart from maybe some lateral raises. So with today's pull workout, I incorporated a bunch of shoulder movements just to ensure that I was working my shoulders at least a little bit more frequently and getting a little bit more volume in from my shoulders for the overall week. So that was kind of today's workout, but we're going to jump straight into the topic of today's video, and that's going to be how I set up my meals when I'm going to be meal prepping for the coming week, and then how we actually go about cooking some of those meals, and mainly how we're going to be cooking certain foods in bulk, such as chicken, beef, rice, all kinds of stuff like that. So let's start off by what I would do to determine what meals I'm going to be eating. Now, for me, you got to keep in mind that I have been doing this for 6, 7+ years, and I have actually built up a pretty significant database under MyFitnessPal, the app MyFitnessPal, of meals that I eat on a frequent basis that I really enjoy. So typically, the way I would do it is I would say, okay, I've got to hit this number of calories split amongst these macros. So I want to have something along the lines of maybe say smoothies and chicken, some kind of chicken meal, and then maybe some kind of turkey meal. And again, I'll also do it based on what I currently have in the fridge, so I don't have to go and buy $100 worth of food when I've got half the stuff I need in the fridge to make a meal plan versus going out and buying whole new foods. So it's kind of, you have to play around with things. You have to think about what you currently have, what you want, and then go from there. So let's start off by going over how I set up this week's meal plan and what I'm actually going to be eating. So if you guys remember from a couple videos ago when we went over how to set up your macros, I'll actually link that video here so you can go over that and see how I did this. But we're going to start with a total calories of 2,250 broken up into approximately 170 grams of protein, 280 grams of carbs, and then 50 grams of fat, which is essentially what I did yesterday in my kind of full day of eating video. Now from there, we're going to start off by saying, okay, what do I currently have on hand? Now, usually I would try and plan my meals out before I go grocery shopping so that I know exactly what I need to pick up. And that way I don't pick up extra stuff that I already have, or that way things that I have in the fridge don't go to waste. So it just kind of helps save money that way and ensures that I'm not overspending very much. But let's start off by going over my meals. So for me, the way I'm going to do it is I will generally say, okay, I want to have between 5 to 6 meals a day. And now for me, typically the way I'll break my meals up is into 4 to 5 meals and then one snack that I can have kind of throughout the day, or break it up into 2 snacks. And that's just kind of how I like to eat, and based on my schedule, how I'm able to eat. A lot of times people would like to do maybe 2 really large meals and then 1 snack, or maybe 3 large meals, or maybe they'll just eat kind of as they go throughout the day. But for me, like I said, I'm going to do 5 meals for this week, and then I'm going to have 1 snack that I'm going to throw in kind of when I need it and when I'm hungry. So from there, what I kind of decided is, okay, I want to figure out what am I going to do. Remember, like I said, I have a whole stockpile of different recipes and meals that I've created over the years. So I tend to go and think, okay, what do I feel like this week? This is going to be based on personal preference. Also, remember, I'm trying to think of what I have in the freezer, what I have in the fridge. So for me, I was like, okay, I haven't done smoothies in a while, so I feel like I'm going to do some kind of smoothie maybe for breakfast. It's really easy. Make it in the morning, have it on the drive to work. Super quick, simple breakfast. Okay, there's meal number 1. Next, I know that I'm going to be doing some kind of salad, something with a lot of volume. So I've got my turkey, chicken, rice kind of taco salad that I've been making for the last couple weeks. I know that that's helped keep me really full. It's worked really well during this prep so far. So I'm going to be doing that twice a day. So there's 2 more meals, so up to 3 meals. Now my snack, I've been doing watermelon recently, so I know, okay, I love watermelon. I've got a whole watermelon left over from last week, as you guys saw yesterday, that needs to be used. I'm not going to go spend more money on any kind of snack or anything like that. I've got this guy, so I'll find a way to work that into my diet. Now after that, that covers 3 meals, 1 snack. I still need 2 more meals. Well, what am I kind of craving? So currently I know that with this setup, I don't have a whole lot of fat so far. Just based on how my meals are set up, and because I've done these so far, I know that these meals don't have a whole lot of fat, and I'm kind of craving like a hamburger. I've been dieting and prepping pretty hard for about 3 weeks now. Cravings are starting to kick in a little bit. I actually went and, as you guys saw yesterday, had a burger and all that kind of stuff, burger, french fries. So this week I was feeling like burgers. I was really craving burgers all last week, had one yesterday, and I'm gonna incorporate them into this week's meals. And that's gonna be a large portion of my fat. So I'm gonna have a teriyaki pineapple hamburger. It's one of my favorite things to make. A little bit of Yoshida's teriyaki sauce, like a 4 to 6 ounce patty, nice kind of small hamburger bun, make the burger look a little bit bigger. Top it with a slice of pineapple. Ooh, I love it. So that's gonna be my 4th meal. And again, that's gonna be a large portion of my fats. Now I need 1 more meal, and I'm gonna be doing another smoothie. I decided that last week I was doing like tuna and as much as tuna is good, it's more of like a quick meal for me when I'm like really busy. It's easy to just crack open a can of tuna, throw a little bit of stuff on there, and make a sandwich. But when I have a little bit more time, and especially, like I said, I'm getting deeper into prep, my sweet tooth has been really bugging me the last week or so, I'm gonna do another smoothie. So I've got 2 smoothies this week. You guys saw one in yesterday's video. We're gonna be doing another one today. It's a blueberry muffin smoothie. It's super good. And then we've got 2 giant salads that'll keep me really full, like lots and lots of volume. And then we've got a hamburger. So this week's meals have actually laid out pretty damn good. It's a lot of variety. It's gonna be keeping me pretty full throughout the entire day. And overall, it's just kind of gonna work really well for me. But from there, I'm gonna go through now and show you guys how I'm prepping all this food for this coming week. And a quick side note is typically what I'll do is I'll prep all 7 days worth of food, but I won't necessarily prep every single meal. So for me, I know that I'm gonna be gone for probably about 3 of the 5 meals throughout the day. So I'll be sure to prep both of those salads and that hamburger so that I can basically throw it in my lunchbox, take it with me to work, and then from there I don't have to worry about making up a whole bunch of stuff. I'll have my smoothie before I leave for work in the morning, and then I'll have another smoothie at night before I head to bed. So those 2 meals I don't need to worry about prepping. The 3 in between plus my snack. So my snack I'll have kind of randomly throughout the day whenever I feel like I'm really craving something. So those are the 4 things that I'm gonna need to prep. So we're gonna go through how I prep them, and especially how I prep and prepare large quantities of food such as chicken, turkey, and hamburger. So let's get started. All right, now the first thing we're gonna do is preheat the oven to 375 degrees. And while that's heating up, we're gonna clean and prep our chicken. Now the way I like to prep my chicken is I like to go through and remove all this little bits of fat sitting on it. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of take my knife and just cut away some of this stuff here and there. I'm not too concerned with cutting away some of the actual chicken. I'm more concerned with removing all this excess fat on here and just making sure that it's cleaned up. Keep it as lean as possible. And once I've removed the fat, then what I like to do is, because these breasts are a little bit thicker, I like to actually butterfly them. So I'll take them and cut them flat in half so that the meat is a little bit thinner, so that it cooks a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. Then I'll make sure I have my scale zeroed out, and I'll start weighing out what I need for this week, which for me is gonna be 56 ounces or 8 ounces of chicken per day, half a pound. Now any extra chicken that I have left over, I will typically put into a plastic Ziploc baggie and either put back into the fridge for my wife to use later on during the week when she's gonna be prepping, or I'll put it into the freezer and save it for next week. Now, once we've got all of the chicken cut and cleaned, what we're gonna do is we're going to season it. Some people tend to rinse the chicken off, however, my chicken, the chicken that I get here from Fred Meyer, isn't usually super slimy. If I take and I defrost chicken, I will generally rinse it off because it gets a kind of slimy layer on it, which is a little bit funky. It doesn't really cause any issues, but it's just a little bit, it just feels really weird to handle, so I like to clean it off. But like I said, I'm not gonna rinse this off. I've got the fat removed. I've got them all butterflied so that they're gonna cook a little bit easier and quicker. And I've got 56, just over 56 ounces here, which is exactly the amount that I needed. Now I'm gonna go through and start seasoning it. Typically what I would do is, especially during an off season or when I'm not trying to diet down, I would actually use Yoshida's teriyaki sauce and kind of soak this in teriyaki sauce for about half an hour while I get some other meals ready and some other food ready, and then I'll throw it in the oven. However, because teriyaki sauce actually has a little bit of sugar in it and quite a bit of carbs, I'm gonna use a dry seasoning, which is 0 calorie. So I'm gonna be using a combination of the following seasonings. I have Cajun seasoning, cayenne pepper, fresh ground black pepper, pink Himalayan salt, garlic powder, and chili powder. I'm gonna use a little bit of all of this, just kind of go by taste. I don't necessarily measure it out or anything. I'll just kind of like sprinkle it on as I feel it needs it. Kind of mix things around as I sprinkle it so that it doesn't all bunch up in one spot. Just make sure everything gets coated kind of nice. And then I'll throw some cayenne pepper on here. Give it a little bit of a kick. And again, kind of mix it up as I pour this on here so it doesn't all bunch up on one chicken breast. It's gonna turn a nice bright orangey red color. Some garlic powder. And I like a lot of garlic. I like the garlic flavor, so I'm gonna use a lot of this garlic powder. Oh yeah, I can smell it. Next, we'll do some chili powder. Again, remember, this is gonna be for a kind of taco salad. So this is kind of like a homemade DIY taco seasoning, which you could also get just like at the store. They have those pre-made taco seasoning packets. You could get one of those and use that, but I actually am gonna use that. I have them, I'm gonna use that on my ground turkey. So there's that. Now, try not to go too crazy with the sodium. Then I need to wash my hand. Add a little bit of liquid in order to get the dry ingredients to mix a little better. I'm gonna wash my hands. And there we go. So that's the seasoned chicken breast. I'll let this sit for a minute while I prep the baking sheets for the oven, and then we're gonna throw this in the oven for 30 minutes and let it cook at 375 degrees. Now, once I have my baking sheets ready, I like to spray them with some 0-calorie non-stick cooking spray. Get this stuff from Costco, super cheap. Just gonna do a nice light coating, just like that, across both pans. Just so the chicken doesn't stick. And then I'll evenly distribute it across the baking sheets. Now we can place these into the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes or until they're cooked all the way through. The next item we're going to prep is going to be our turkey. Now for these meals, I need 4 ounces per day, 2 ounces per meal, and I'm going to prep a total of 28 ounces. So I'm going to weigh that out, and then we're going to season it, and then put it on the stove to cook on a low to medium heat for about 20 to 25 minutes or until it's thoroughly cooked all the way through. Now once the turkey's been weighed out, it's ready to be seasoned. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna be using these pre-packaged taco seasonings that you can pick up at the store for around 25 to 50 cents a piece. So these are super easy. I just rip open the whole bag and I'll dump this whole thing into my turkey. Then you can either use your hands or a spoon to mix that seasoning in, and then we're gonna throw it onto the stove on a low to medium heat for about 20 to 25 minutes or until it's thoroughly cooked. Now the next thing we're gonna start prepping are gonna be our hamburgers. For me, I'm gonna be doing a 4-ounce patty every day of the week, so I need to weigh out a total of 28 ounces of hamburger. I have 80-20 hamburger here. You can go leaner if you need to, but for me, 80-20 works out just fine for the amount of fats that I need for this week's meal prep. Now, we're gonna prep this guy by weighing out 28 ounces. Now I have 28 ounces weighed out, and I'm gonna begin by seasoning this with some fresh ground pepper, a little bit of pink Himalayan salt, some chili powder, a little bit of garlic powder, and then some fresh dried peppers. And I'm gonna take these guys, crush them up a little bit, and mix them in with the hamburger before I break it into patties. And this is gonna be kind of a more spicy seasoning, so if you guys don't like spice, usually I would just season it with some garlic powder, maybe a little bit of onion powder, some salt, pepper, and maybe a little bit of thyme or rosemary would be really good as well. So I'm gonna go through and add some of these seasonings. Again, I don't measure these out. I just kind of do it by eye. Try not to do too much salt. Lots of pepper. I like pepper. Still going. Still going. And good. Next, we're gonna do some of the chili powder. Just a little bit of this. Don't wanna go crazy here. go. And then finally, I'm gonna take a spoon and just kind of chop and grind up these peppers here. So you kind of see, I'm just trying to break them up a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Ideally, I would like to use a pestle and mortar for this, but we don't have one. So make do with what you have. Just kind of ground them up a little bit, and then I'm just gonna dump that straight into the mixture. And then we'll ball it into some patties. Make sure to mix the ground turkey from time to time so it doesn't turn into one giant turkey loaf. Now that the hamburger has been thoroughly mixed, I'm gonna start by weighing out 4-ounce hamburger patties, getting it as close to 4 ounces as possible, balling them up into a nice round ball. And I'll probably actually take my rings off for this so I don't get them all funky. And then I just flatten them out into a patty shape, making sure to prevent the edges from breaking and leaving a little bit of a divot in the center so that when they cook, they rise a little bit from the center, they kind of puff up, so they'll form back into like the shape of an actual patty. We're gonna go through all 7 of these, and then we're gonna cook them on the stove after the turkey's finished. Now once our turkey's finished cooking, what I like to do is drain the excess liquid and fat off that have accumulated during cooking, and then I'm gonna pour it into a separate container, weighing it out, and then divide the total number by 7, because remember, we're making 2 servings per day across 7 days, so we need a total of 14 meals from this batch of turkey. So once we have that number, then we know exactly how much we can weigh out for each individual meal. Now before I clean off the pan that the turkey was cooking in, I'm gonna spray it down with a little bit of nonstick cooking spray and actually use that to cook my hamburgers. Get that little bit of extra flavor from the turkey seasoning and that taco seasoning and have that mix into the burgers. It's gonna taste really good. About 2 minutes to each side, flip them, cook them for 2 more minutes, and then they're good to go. Now the next thing we're gonna be cooking is gonna be our rice. I'm using white rice today. You can use brown rice, jasmine rice, basmati, whatever you like and whatever you prefer. I like white rice just because I've grown up eating white rice and it's my preferred type of rice. Once we get closer to the show and deeper into prep, I'll probably switch over to brown rice just because it's a little slower digesting. But for now, white rice is just fine. I'm gonna weigh out 630 grams or 14 servings, 2 per day of white rice. And now I'm going to thoroughly rinse it before putting it into the rice cooker. Now my rice cooker has a setting specifically for white rice, so I just have to hit a button and then let it cook. Once it's finished, it'll beep at me, letting me know that it's finished. Usually it'll take around 25 to 30 minutes to fully cook that amount of rice. Now while our rice is cooking, our chicken is finished, so we're gonna pull that out of the oven, weigh it out, and determine how much we need for each meal. So I've got my scale zeroed out. I'm just gonna start adding all this chicken to it, and then once I have that total number, I'm checking it in grams. Once I have my total grams for all this chicken, I'll divide that number by 14, and that's gonna give us how many grams of chicken we need per meal. Now, if you remember, we ensured that we weighed out how much we needed total to begin with. We ensured we weighed out 56 ounces, or approximately 4 ounces per meal for 2 meals per day for 7 days. So, we just need to figure out what our total cooked weight is and divide that by 14 in order to determine how much chicken we need in every single meal. And that's usually how I will weigh my food out, is I will weigh everything out dry or pre-cooked so that I know exactly how much food I'm cooking, and then once it's finished, I'll weigh it again and divide it by the total number of meals that I'm trying to make. So just kind of a meal hack there, or meal prep hack, how I weigh my stuff out. Hopefully that helps you guys. But I have about 1,000 grams of chicken here. So if I divide that number by 14, it's gonna tell me exactly how much I need for every single meal for the entire week. Give this a little bit of a taste test here. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. A little bit of a kick, but oh yeah, that's a good batch of chicken. So we'll set that aside for now, and we'll clean up a little bit. Now while we wait for our rice to finish cooking, I'm gonna go through and separate out all of my chicken and all of my turkey into their individual meal containers. Now if you guys remember, I'm making a chicken, turkey, rice kind of taco salad this week. So I'm doing 4 ounces of chicken, 2 ounces of turkey, 1 serving of rice, and then 1 whole head of romaine lettuce as a single meal. I'm doing 2 of those a day, plus a little bit of cilantro cream lime dressing as my topping, and then a little bit of salsa as well. So I'm gonna separate the chicken out into 14 containers, then I'm gonna separate the turkey out into those 14 containers as well, and once the rice is finished, it will be separated into those containers too. And that'll be 1 meal. Well, 14 meals, but 1 individual meal. You know what I mean. Alright, so we've got all of our chicken and turkey separated out into individual containers. Now I have to get a container for the hamburgers, and then we're just waiting on the rice so I can individually separate that out into these containers as well. Now I have all of my hamburgers separated out into their own individual containers. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a single slice of pineapple to 5 of the 7 containers. The reason I'm only adding them to 5 is because I'm gonna be taking those 5 with me to work, and the other 2 are gonna get frozen in the freezer. And the pineapple, I don't wanna freeze that, so I'm gonna throw these into just the regular containers. Okay, now I can seal up my hamburgers, they're ready to go. And then I just need to wait for my rice to finish. And while my rice is finishing, I can start cutting up, actually I'm not gonna cut up my romaine. So sometimes what I like to do if I really am gonna be pressed for time, I'll take my romaine lettuce and I will pre-wash and pre-cut it, and I'll put it into either Ziploc baggies or I will put it into mason jars. Mason jars tend to keep it fresher for a little bit longer, but I'm not super rushed this week, so I'll end up just taking the full heads of lettuce with me like I did last week, cleaning and cutting them there at work as opposed to trying to pre-prep them as much as possible. So I'm not gonna worry about cutting up my lettuce, but I do need to prep the watermelon. This has got only about 5 minutes left. I'm gonna wait for this to finish. We'll separate the rest of these containers out, get them all finished up, put them away, and then we have a nice clear space to work with so we can easily cut the watermelon. All right, now that our rice is finished cooking, I need to weigh it out. Now, I've got a special trick up my sleeve for weighing out my rice. I actually have 2 of the exact same containers that we use to cook the rice. This is from an old rice cooker that died, so what I actually will do is I'll take this guy, put it on my scale, zero it out, and then I'll remove this, and I'll place this one onto the scale with the rice in it, and I'll have the exact amount of rice that's in the container so that I know exactly how much to divide it by and separate. A little bit of a trick there. Not everybody can do it, but I just happen to have another container, so I can do that. Now I can take this container out, and now I know exactly how much rice is in here minus the weight of the cooking container. So I've got 1,550 grams of rice. Typically what I'll do is I'll subtract about 50 grams from the total, just because there's a little bit of extra moisture in there that's gonna start evaporating as it's sitting here. So usually it'll drop around 50 grams based on how much water I like to put into it. So say 1,500 grams, we'll divide that by 14 meals, and that's gonna give us exactly what we need in order to separate this rice out. Alexa, what's 1,500 divided by 14?
1,500 divided by 14 is 107.1429.
All right, so we've got all of our meals set out, prepped up, ready to go. Now all I need to do is prep my snack, which is gonna be 500 grams of watermelon. So I've got a big old watermelon over here that I need to cut, but I'm gonna throw the lids on these containers, set them aside, and get that separated and cut up. All right, let's start cutting this watermelon. Just for those of you that don't know, in order to tell if watermelon is ripe or not is if it sounds hollow. when you knock on it. So if it sounds like you're knocking on a door, anybody home? Knock, knock. All right. And so there you go, guys. So that's gonna be it for this week's meal prep. It was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Overall, we got 500 grams of watermelon. These guys are for my wife. But we got 7 meals or 7 containers with 500 grams of watermelon each. We've got 14 containers with 1 serving of white rice, 4 ounces of chicken, and 2 ounces of lean ground turkey. And then we have 7 containers with a 4-ounce 80/20 hamburger patty, and 5 of those have pineapple in them already. Now what I'm gonna do from here is this watermelon is actually really close to going bad, getting overripe. So I'm gonna take all of these and throw them in the freezer. As you guys may have seen in my last videos, frozen watermelon is almost like ice cream, or well, not ice cream, but it's like a frozen dessert basically. It's so good. So that's not an issue. These are perfectly ripe right now. So if I throw them in the freezer, they'll be great when they come out. Now, what I'd like to do is usually I'll put 4 days worth of meals into the fridge and freeze the other 3. So that's what I'm gonna do with all of the chicken, rice, and turkey meals. I'm gonna put 8 containers into the fridge, and then the other 6 are gonna go into the freezer. Now for my hamburgers, I'm gonna put 5 of those straight into the fridge instead of 4, just because I'm gonna be going to work with the ones that have the pineapple in them, and I don't wanna freeze the pineapple. It makes it more convenient, that way I don't have to add the pineapple to it. I know if I have to add it to it, I guarantee I'll end up forgetting it. So that way when I'm home, I've got the pineapple, I can just throw it in there anyway. That's gonna be my meals for this week. Now the other 2 meals, which I'm not prepping, are gonna be my smoothies. So in the morning, I'm gonna make a blueberry smoothie. And then in the evening, I'm gonna make my pineapple mango smoothie, which you guys saw yesterday, which is almost more like pineapple mango sorbet. So definitely looking forward to those this week. Overall, really easy meal prep. Didn't take too long, a little bit longer because I'm filming, but usually it takes about 2 hours to prep about all this food. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions at all, leave them down below in the comments. I will also put a link in the description to the meal prep containers that I'm using that I really enjoy, these black ones. Now I actually need to pick up some more of these because we have broken a few of them here and there, and the dogs have chewed up more than their fair share. So we're down to only like 16 of them. So I want to pick up like another 20 or something. But they're pretty cheap, super easy, really nice. You can dishwash them, they can go in the microwave, all kinds of stuff. So I'll throw a link to these in the description below if you guys want to check them out. But like I said, that's gonna be it for today's video. I gotta get to the gym and go hit some cardio. So I'm gonna sign off for tonight, and that's gonna be the end of today's vlog. Hopefully you enjoyed. As always, go ahead and hit that like button, definitely helps out. Subscribe to the channel because we got a video coming out every single day of this prep, meaning we've got another 90-something videos to go. So, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, yeah. For the record.